Yeah, that's right, I'm back, baby. And we're gonna get right into this shit. Now, you may be wondering why we're doing a 2021 award show in January of 2023. So without any further ado, let's see that 2021 recap. At the very beginning of the year, Scott Pilgrim came back out of nowhere. Now, if you don't know, this game was previously available via download only, and when it was taken off of the online storefronts, it was essentially just, like, gone for good. And since it amassed a bit of a cult fan base, it really pissed a lot of people off. It was a perfect example of why game preservation is such a big deal. So seeing it come back like this actually almost gives me hope for the future of the games industry. Almost. And then in March we got It Takes Two was a phenomenal co-op story game where you play chess. Doom Eternal's Ancient Gods Part 2 DLC dropped, marking the end of Doom Eternal's campaign. And while it was not without its issues, I think it was still a really great DLC and a solid, for the most part, ending to Doom Eternal. Quantum League was a game with a really cool concept, and the few matches I played were actually pretty dang fun. However, the immense lack of a player base would ultimately become the game's downfall. Lemnis Gate came out a bit later and seemed to have essentially the same concept, but the same exact thing happened with Lemnis, which is a real shame. Nier Replicant, a remake of Nier from 2010, was released, and it was my introduction to the Nier series. I haven't played Automata, and I'd never played Nier from 2010, and upon completing Nier Replicant, I gotta say, it's kind of a weird game. The music is amazing, the world is interesting, and the lore and characters are probably my favorite part of the entire game. Resident Evil Village tried to recapture the essence of Resident Evil 4 and fuse it with the Resident Evil 7's first-person gameplay and emphasis on horror. However, Village kind of failed to implement any of those things very well, except for the baby fetus part. That part, that was a little scary. But most everything else about the game, the puzzles, the inventory management, the combat encounters, it all felt pretty underwhelming since you have so much inventory space to work with, and the game offers you so much materials and ammunition that you never really need to worry about running out of anything. On top of that, the puzzles were pathetically easy and the story was just kinda stupid, which is fine for a Resident Evil game, but Village just seemed like it was taking itself a little too seriously. Guilty Gear Strive was the first traditional fighting game I really gave a fair shot, and I mean, the game is good, sure. The art style is great, yeah, but hey, wait a minute. What's that sound? Could that be a transition into the soundtrack?
An eagle, soar through the sky. Be free until you die.
Cozy Grove was a neat little Animal Crossing-like game. Cruelty Squad was a video game that just watch the trailer. And it was actually, unironically, pretty good. Psychonauts 2 had a typewriter that let you type piss balls.
Oh, that's not right.
Toby Fox descended from the heavens to give us Deltarune Chapter 2. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is somehow an actually competent platform fighter. Back 4 Blood was looking to be a pretty solid spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, which I was pretty hyped for. Until I wasn't. Metroid Dread was actually my first Metroid game, and it was pretty banger. Crab Game is unironically my favorite battle royale game.
YOLO for Mignon. It's me, baby. I get minion, that means I win, baby.
Dies.
Not again. I couldn't play Resident Evil 4 VR because I don't own an Oculus, and I'm sure as shit not gonna buy one anytime soon. Sorry, Zuckerberg, you can suck a ding-dong.
I want my baby back ribs. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Bright Memory Infinite. I was looking forward to playing this game for quite a while after I played the demo a while back. But the full game that was released was essentially just a slightly bigger demo, and I mean, it's still impressive considering how tiny the development team is, but I really hope they can take what they've made here and create more of a full experience out of it, rather than a couple hour long demo. Quick Tequila released a new Lovely Planet game, Lovely Planet Remix, and I'm probably one of the 3 people in the world who is excited about that. Pray for the Gods was a pretty cool indie game inspired by Shadow of the Colossus. Boyfriend Dungeon was a game where you can go on dates with a sword. Portal Reloaded was a really cool free mod for Portal 2 that introduced a green portal. Ooh, wowee, green. This green portal lets you travel through time, which actually makes for some really interesting puzzles. I really thought Solar Ash was going to be a genuine masterpiece. It just seemed like every aspect of this game, the movement, combat, boss fights, enemies, the level design, music, story, the environment, characters, it seemed like it was all going to be top-notch stuff. But after playing it, I gotta be honest, all it really had going for it was the level design and the movement. The boss fights were repetitive, the characters were really just kind of boring. The music wasn't bad, but we never really got anything even remotely close to what we heard in the trailer. And the story, while I think it's conceptually really cool, the execution was just kind of uninteresting. Now, that said, I think I just expected a bit too much from Solar Ash, and was disappointed when I found out that it wasn't quite the masterpiece I thought it would be, but it is still a pretty cool game and well worth checking out. Also, Halo Infinite came out.
It was low-key poggers.
Wowee, what a wacky little year that was. Before we get into the awards, I want to point out that all these games here, these games are the ones that I could not get to. I did not have time to play them, so they're not getting any awards. Sorry, these games. Well, with all that out of the way, I think I've kept you all waiting long enough. Let's see the best games of 2021.
Big guy there.
Back 4 Blood was supposed to be a spiritual successor to the legendary Left 4 Dead series. Sadly though, it didn't quite meet those expectations. But there was another 4-player co-op horde shooter that came out, which, much like Left 4 Dead, had a heavy focus on teamwork and group coordination. The guys who did this thing made another co-op first-person shooter with a heavy emphasis on teamwork, except this new game has hell monsters from hell. GTFO does not mess around. This is a game that will punish you repeatedly, with no mercy. which is just how I like my women. Did I really write that? What the fuck? You will not succeed until you and your team learn to plan ahead, manage resources together, and not shoot each other. The slightest misstep or error could easily ruin an entire run, so you really need to make sure you can depend on your teammates and that you can be helpful to the group yourself. The lore is actually pretty interesting as well. You and your friends are disposable grunts being sent to this abandoned facility by the Overseer, and you can see if you look close at the enemy designs that most of these creatures you fight used to be human. Speaking of the creatures that you fight, there's a decent variety here that each demand certain skills or utilities to take care of. Spaghetti Man, for example, can be sealed shut, nice, or sniped. And big guys
I fucking hate you guys.
can usually be killed instantly if all 4 members of the team melee attack it at the same time. However, it's a bit risky and requires good coordination with your team. This is game of the year.
There's a lot of enemies here.
Game of the year.
For about half a year, I had my eyes on a game called Quantum League. It was in early access at the time, but fully released in April. It's a 2v2 competitive first-person shooter, but the big main mechanic of the game is the time loop mechanic. Each loop is only 30 seconds long and there are 3 loops per cycle. The first player to win 3 loops wins the match. During each loop, the loops prior to the current one happen simultaneously with the current loop, meaning if the enemy shoots you in the first loop, you can prevent your death in that first loop by killing the first loop version of the enemy before he shoots your first loop version. It is some fucking crazy ass 4D chess shit that for some reason nobody is playing. These servers are dead as hell. Last year I made a joke about Bleeding Edge being the new Lawbreakers, and now I guess Quantum League joins the ever-growing list of interesting looking games that just die from a low player count. Boomerang X is a game that has an almost Doom Eternal-esque sort of combat system, where each ability kind of feeds into another. You get a multi-kill throw to unlock Scatter Shot, you can kill 3 enemies with Scatter Shot to unlock the Needle, you can use the Needle to kill bigger enemies quicker, or use Scatter Shot and Needle while you're in the air to build up kills and get an explosive AoE blast. All of these abilities combined with the Boomerang's Slingshot ability, which lets you teleport to your boomerang after you've thrown it, build onto each other really well, making for an extremely fast-paced, chaotic experience. The enemies all have different roles to play that make you think about how to prioritize targets, and the music fits the overall vibe of the game pretty well. And all of the levels feel so unique from each other. The visual variety, as well as the variety in the ways arenas are laid out, keeps every portion of the game feeling fresh. Really, one of the only major downsides to Boomerang X is probably the fact that you can beat it in, like, less than 2 hours, but honestly, I enjoyed it enough that I'm sure I'll go back for more repeat playthroughs. And if you want an extra challenge, Boomerang X even has a New Game Plus mode. Severed Steel is another arena shooter with a bullet time mechanic, but it's very different from Boomerang X in really every other way. The style, music, and especially the gameplay of Severed Steel has more so a focus on stunts, destructible environments, and quick reflexes. Severed Steel is one of a handful of games that I've played that remove the Y-axis camera limit, which lets you do back and front flips, and I just gotta say, holy shit! Why do more games not have this? It's so freaking awesome! The stunt system is incentivized by rewarding the player with free bullet time and invulnerability to damage while they're performing a dive, slide, flip, or wall run. Essentially, if you do cool shit, you get more bullet time and you take less damage. And with just how insanely fast this game goes and how quick you can die, especially on the highest difficulties, you're really going to need all the bullet time you can get. There's no reloading because your left arm is actually replaced with a cannon that lets you blow holes into the environment. So when a gun does run out of ammo, you just throw it and grab a new one off of an enemy, which means you're going to be using a lot of different weapons every few seconds typically, which just adds to the chaos of the battle when you're flipping around, sliding all over the place, trying to dodge a million bullets while the walls chip away from every gunshot. It gets pretty insane. The most viral game of 2021 was definitely Crab Game. Crab Game is a battle royale made by Danny, the dude behind that upcoming movement shooter Carlson. Crab Game takes inspiration from that funny Korean Netflix show, and it's unironically pretty fun. Not all the games are great, the team games are usually a bit annoying, and the color button game can get old pretty quick, but for the most part, these are terrific minigames to play with a few friends. Crab Game is genuinely some of the most fun I've had in a multiplayer game in quite a while. At a first glance, Everhood may seem like just another quirky little indie game with a dark secret hidden beneath a charming cast of characters and clever dialogue. And to some degree, it kind of is, but Everhood does so much to differentiate itself from that crowd. While Everhood isn't necessarily a rhythm game, the gameplay is rhythm-based. The enemy attacks are all in sync with the music, but the player doesn't need to time their dodges or jumps with the rhythm. That may sound like it makes the game too easy, but trust me, you'll be smashing your keyboard into the wall if you go for some of the harder optional bosses. Having the gameplay be reliant on music was a great choice for this game, because hot damn this soundtrack is banger. As far as the story goes, it's really good, and I can't really talk about it without spoiling the entire thing, so just trust me, okay? This game is really, really good. Congratulations, Activision Blizzard! You win the Worst Company of 2021 award. I'm sure if you're somebody who is watching this video, you probably already know why, but I think it's important to bring this kind of stuff to light for the people who don't stay up to date on every little thing that happens in the games industry, and also so that these things don't end up fading into old news and being forgotten. Essentially, a 2-year-long investigation was conducted on Activision Blizzard, and it was revealed that the workplace had many cases of harassment towards employees due to their race, gender, sexual orientation, etc. In one of the most disturbing cases, it was found that a female employee on a business trip had committed suicide after coworkers of hers had been sharing lewd photos of her with peers. There was a situation where breast milk was allegedly being stolen from the workplace fridge, fucking Homelander style. It was even revealed that Alex Afrasiabi, the former senior creative director of World of Warcraft, had the room he was staying in during BlizzCon receive the nickname Cosby Suite, as he was so known around the company for his blatant sexual harassment of female employees. Many others within Blizzard would join Alex Afrasiabi in this Cosby Suite, as they would invite women into this space made to be an informal networking spot filled with alcohol. As you can probably tell, this isn't exactly behavior befitting of a professional environment, or any environment for that matter, especially for those in such a powerful position in such a well-known company. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but knowing that this company has been getting away with this for so long, and knowing that many other companies, not just in the games industry, but in general, are most certainly getting away with hosting workplaces like this as well, it's honestly just pretty sickening. Can you feel the night? Would it be warm? It must be bright. Why can't raise you higher? Guilty Gear Strive. I don't really play traditional fighting games like at all. I've played Super Smash Bros. Quite a bit, but as far as traditional fighting games go, this game was essentially my introduction to the genre. The main aspects that tempted me to give Strive a try were the art style and the music, but I had also heard that Strive was a bit more simple and newcomer friendly compared to other traditional fighting games. It does give a tutorial mode that teaches you the mechanics and different techniques to learn in a nice simple little 100 tutorial extravaganza. I'll be honest though, I'm really not all that knowledgeable on the ins and outs of fighting games. I just had a lot of fun when I was playing, and with how dedicated the community seems to be, I can tell it's a pretty well made game overall. But I do know a certain someone who does actually know a thing or two about fighting games, so to give a more detailed explanation on what makes Guilty Gear Strive so good, I'm gonna let my good friend Puzzlebox here take over for a sec.
Hello everyone, my name is Puzzlebox and I'm here to talk to you about some of the pros and cons of Guilty Gear Strive. This is a simpler Guilty Gear game compared to the previous titles in the series, helping to introduce new players to Guilty Gear as a whole. There are also some brand new characters, as well as many returning characters, each with their own unique play styles and looks to help keep players invested. Some of these motion inputs are simpler than other games, trying to help bridge the barrier for entry for new players. Additionally, crossplay should be released here soon for Guilty Gear Strive. The game also has an amazing soundtrack and rollback netcode, which is a necessity for modern fighting games. As for some of the cons, the lobby system used in Guilty Gear Strive is not amazing and can often be confusing. There are some loading issues, and there is paid DLC, which can be an issue for some people. And additionally, the game is still fairly complex, so you do have to look into all of the mechanics to really get going in the game. But overall, I think Guilty Gear Strive was an amazing game for the year.
Wowee, that sure was a lot of cool stuff that guy just said. If you enjoy fighting games, I would definitely check out Puzzlebox's channel. On top of Guilty Gear Strive just being a great game in general, the music is seriously on another level. Every character has their own theme, and every single one, well, almost every single one, is insanely good, which is why Guilty Gear Strive also wins the Best Soundtrack of the Year award. I mean, just take a listen to some of these.
Over time, most things fade away. Isn't that right? All of the memories dissolve. The sunshine, the breeze,
smell of the game.
Halo Infinite. I really wanted to like this game, but there are just so many issues. The multiplayer suffers from a severe lack of content, including fan-favorite game modes like Infection and Griffball. Some of the guns are balanced pretty questionably, and of course the monetization and cosmetic shop is just awful. The Battle Pass honestly isn't that terrible. The fact that you get to keep the pass after the season is over and can continue to progress in it later is a very respectable way to monetize a free-to-play game. What isn't respectable is a rotating daily shop lying about the majority of customization being outside of the Battle Pass and shop, launching without Forge, Firefight, dozens of classic game modes, split screen, or even online co-op, having theater and custom games just be flat out broken, adding challenges that encourage players to ignore objectives and grind XP rather than helping their team, cutting pre- and post-game lobbies, and of course the dreaded desync issues. But honestly, the worst part is that the gameplay is actually really good. I would argue it's as good, potentially even better than 3. At its core, it's got that classic Halo feel, but with very little content actually in the game, and even less of it being functional, along with missing social features. This just is not a complete game. The story has its moments, but overall it's kind of a mess. The open world is fine, but I really think it would have benefited Halo Infinite greatly to have more focused, linear levels. With Infinite being an open world, it falls into the Ubisoft trap of having a bunch of copy-paste missions and checkboxes to fill, which isn't a huge deal if you just focus on the story missions, but even a lot of the story missions can get really repetitive. This was 343's last chance. They had 6 years and like $500 million to finally redeem themselves. And yet, the management has proved yet again that they have absolutely no idea how to handle this legendary IP that they've been given.
We are a very competitive game. That's our DNA. That's who we are, right? You go back all the way to the very first Halo, right? Multiplayer. I mean, it is a highly competitive game.
I wanted to make a party game with shooter mechanics. I really wanted it to feel like a party game with shooter mechanics, because I knew that if we put that out there and people could sit down on the couch and play together, or they could connect their Xboxes together across a, like a subnet on a LAN, that it would just create this incredibly powerful viral effect of people kind of enjoying the game.
Oh my!
What it comes down to is getting together with people, being able to yell at them, being able to, talk about, oh, it was so great when you killed me with that rocket, I didn't even know it was coming, and being able to, reflect on the gameplay afterwards.
Blue team got the most captures.
Dolbeck's got most kills, and then Kingpin got 1 death because he just sat around like a pansy. And if he's watching this, he's a pansy. He knows.
The less said about Inscription, the better. It's definitely a game that's better experienced if you go in completely blind. All I will say about Inscription is that there's a lot more to it than it seems, but even if Inscription didn't have all that extra stuff that I'm not going to get into for spoiler reasons, it would still be a really great game, and it would probably still be on this list. The award for Best Update of 2021 is Minecraft's Caves and Cliffs update. Yes, it's true, this update was a bit messy and the Warden and Wireless Redstone was kind of split into a separate sort of part 2 update, but the most important part of this update in my opinion was the caves. Minecraft is one of those games that has those moments where you just have to stop for a second and take in the atmosphere. The huge landscapes and towering mountains you run into mixed with the legendary C418 tracks put a feeling inside you that you just cannot find in any other game. And now you can find those moments underground in these insanely huge, beautiful caverns.
Alright, I gotta find a cave here. Oh. Now that's a fucking cave and cliff. Boys, look at this shit. I fuck with this. This is good. See, this is good. What the fuck? What is a lush cave? What are you saying, lush? Holy fuck. That is genuinely the coolest fucking thing I've seen in years of playing this game.
But even just from a gameplay perspective, having these huge cave systems to explore makes mining trips so much more interesting than they used to be, when you would just strip mine at Y12 for 3 hours. I must have put like over 100 hours into this game within my first month of playing. A lot of people might look at Splitgate and say, oh, that's just Halo with portals. And, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that is why it is so damn good. The portal gun alone adds an unbelievable amount of depth to the gameplay of Splitgate. I've had so many moments with this game where I outplay someone by simply utilizing the portal gun to get a funny kill, and couldn't help but laugh like a madman. The portals are also extremely useful for getting around the map, and this is due to some really smart level design that ensures you can portal from pretty much anywhere to pretty much anywhere, which gives the mobility a lot of depth, almost to the point where I would consider Splitgate to be kind of a wacky sort of movement shooter in a way. Splitgate also wins the best gameplay of 2021, and with the player count starting to drop, I am begging you, please give this game a try. I don't want this to become another Quantum League situation. In preparation for Psychonauts 2, I decided I should probably play the original first. It's known by many as a real masterpiece and a one-of-a-kind experience. Psychonauts 1 was also one of the first games I ever bought on my Steam account, and I just never got around to playing it until now. And now that I've finally played it for myself, yeah, there really is no other game quite like this. The writing and voice acting is actually quite funny. It gave me a couple genuine laughs, not just little nose exhales.
I wished my loved one had remembered to indicate me as the beneficiary of his 401k plan.
Ah, mon Dieu! I hit bridges! Ah! That is for killing my father. Bridge!
I am the milkman. My milk is delicious. Special delivery today.
The gameplay is fine, I guess. It's definitely an older platformer. The controls can feel a little janky, the combat isn't really very interesting, but that's not what people love Psychonauts for. People love Psychonauts because it's so unique. It has its own identity, and it's a strong identity.
See you in hell!
And honestly, we could use more of Psychonauts' creativity in modern games.
Is that milk regular kind? Or the exploding dream kind?
It's fortified with what the world wants. What the world deserves.
Lost alone, neither skin nor bone. Just a thought is all I've got. Now my cover's blown.
Psychonauts 2 is a video game. Just like Psychonauts 1, the art style feels super unique, the characters are all entertaining, and the writing is amazing.
So what? He's not gonna tell your husband anything. Come on, Sherry. You can't let that kid get to you.
Chet, it's over. We've been discovered.
But Sherry, we promised each other that this year we'd throw your husband a surprise party.
You're right. And he deserves it.
Yes, he does.
Especially considering how understanding he was about our affair.
Every aspect of this game is just infused with that wacky Psychonauts kind of vibe. Psychonauts 2 retains the humor of the first game while also taking itself a bit more seriously. The story here is genuinely good. The characters whose minds you're jumping into have realistic and oftentimes relatable issues that they struggle with. And speaking of the minds that you jump into, holy shit! This game has some of the most creative levels I have ever had the pleasure of playing in a video game. You get to jump into the mind of a Genshin Impact player who has a crippling gambling addiction, travel to Hair World to fix an old man's broken mind, a cooking show with puppets as the judges, Bowling World, LSD with a banger track starring Jack Black World. As far as the platforming and combat goes, it's definitely an improvement from Psychonauts 1, but still not really anything to write home about. The real experience still lies within the style, writing, story, and characters, which are all amazing. The visual style of Psychonauts is probably the best out of any game that came out this year. And if you still aren't sold on Psychonauts 2, take a look at this Easter egg that you can find in one of the levels. It's a secret little cutscene made by Pendleton Ward.
Keep it inside, Raz. We're almost there.
You're doing so well, darling.
Why am I pregnant?
There's no time, Raz. Lobato's consciousness is about to erupt out of your psychic uterus.
You're doing really, really well, Raz.
I don't need to hear that.
Mia, I need that clown makeup.
I'm almost done.
Quickly, Raz. Kiss this piglet's behind. Lobato is almost defeated for good.
Why don't I remember any of this?
You want to remember this?
No.
That's what I thought. Push.
Doom Eternal's The Ancient Gods Part 2 DLC. Tag 2 is the final expansion of Doom Eternal's story, and for such an important, iconic, and just flat-out legendary franchise, this ending honestly felt pretty rushed. After battling Hell's armies for so long, we finally get to fight Satan himself, and as the main villain, the build-up to fighting him was just kinda weak. His backstory is neat to read about in the Codex, but he had about 2 minutes of actual screen time before you fought him, and it was hard to really care about taking him down. The cutscene where they rip off Avengers Endgame was really cool though. And the hammer was fucking amazing. I always thought a ground pound would feel right at home in a Doom game, and that's essentially what this is, except it's also a tiny bit extremely overpowered. It basically gives you a free AoE stun that lasts about 5 years, shield, ammo, and health pickups, and it can be recharged with just 2 glory kills or weak point breaks. So you've pretty much got access to it at all times. Also, I just want to say, there were dragons in the marketing for Tag 2, so I thought we'd get some sort of dragon boss fight. I was wrong, but despite all its issues, it's still a Doom Eternal expansion, and it has some really cool additions, like Cyber Barons, Screechers, 3 great new levels, and as overpowered as it is, the hammer is so much fun to use. This may not have been a perfect ending for Doom Eternal, but what we got is still pretty damn awesome, and I cannot thank the devs at id Software enough for creating what has become one of my favorite games of all time, and I cannot wait to see what they create next. This may come as a shock to you, but I think video games are kind of fun. I am someone who generally enjoys playing video games, and playing video games with other people will typically be even more fun. You could have the most dog-ass shit piece of stink-ass doo-doo poo-poo garbage, and if you're playing that with a friend, you're still probably gonna have a pretty good time. I'm gonna ram him. Oh my god! It didn't work! I think this thing's about to... So what if, instead of playing a bad game with a friend, you played a good game? In It Takes Two, you and your friend play as Cody and May. Cody and May are a married couple in the process of getting a good old-fashioned divorce. After their daughter hears them talk about the divorce, she gets sad and a magic book turns Cody and May into toy dolls, holding their souls hostage until they love each other again against their will. Every area you visit throughout the game is so nice to look at and explore. There are so many fun little details to find.
No, he's just stuck forever.
This guy. And there's even an Easter egg that plays audio of the director of the game at the 2017 Game Awards saying "fuck the Oscars."
Okay, can you swear here? Okay.
What? They put that in the game? This guy is awesome. I love this guy. The gameplay focuses on cooperation between you and your co-op partner, and is constantly giving you both new and unique mechanics to play with that make each level feel fresh. These mechanics are given with cooperation in mind. In one level, Cody gets a gun that shoots flammable sap, which May can ignite with her gun. In another level, you'll get different magnets that attract and repel different objects in the environment, which makes for some pretty fun and engaging puzzle platforming segments. You only need to buy one copy, and then your partner can play along with you off of that copy. So if you haven't experienced this game, do yourself a favor, grab a friend, and play it. It is a must play in my opinion. I get that you're probably looking at this footage and thinking, isn't this just a walking simulator? Why is this game of the year? And I get that, but it's actually more of a blinking simulator. And that may sound like a joke, but seriously, the blinking mechanics of this game are absolutely perfect for the story it is telling. At the beginning of the game, you set up a webcam to track your eyes so that the game knows when you blink. If you don't want to do that, or if you don't have a webcam, the game also offers the choice of blinking by clicking your mouse, which doesn't ruin the experience or anything, but I do feel like it's more impactful if you do use a webcam. You'll have so many moments where you want to stay in a scene for as long as you possibly can to see what these characters have to say, to understand what all is exactly happening in this point of the protagonist's life, to just exist in that moment a little longer, until you inevitably blink.
I don't even know how I got here.
Oh shit. I can't keep my eyes open that long. So yes, I do think that the gameplay here is amazing. It doesn't have to be some deep combat system or have fluid movement to be good gameplay. It's immersive and it enhances the story that it's telling. And I think it's one of the best examples of video games telling a story in a way no other medium can. Before Your Eyes also has a really neat art design and absolutely phenomenal writing and voice acting, along with an amazing soundtrack that always manages to make me kind of tear up when listening to it after having played through the whole game. Never before has a video game came this close to making me actually cry. Spiritfarer definitely nearly got me to that point, but with this game, it just hit very differently. Once I finished the game, all I could think to say was, holy fucking shit. It deals with themes like life and death, self-worth, existentialism, but I really don't want to say much more than that. The game is like $10, or if you want to wait on a sale, it's like $3. Please play this game for yourself. I think it has a great message about the worth of life, and the team behind it deserves more praise. Wowee, that was a pretty good awards lineup, if I do not say so myself. That's I guess that's it. That's the end. So I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys.
Boo! Boo! Boo!
That sucked ass, bro. We've been waiting here for a year, and that's all you've got? Come on, man. I thought it was pretty okay. Dude, your top game was basically a walking simulator. Well, it's more of a blinking simulator, actually. You changed your outfit from the 2020 Motch Awards, and I've gotta say, short sleeves are not it. I thought I would try something more casual. But worst of all, there was no Sexiest Game of the Year award. Wait, that's why you didn't like it? Really? Oh, you think you're too good to give a Sexiest Game of the Year award, huh? Well, fuck you! You
know what? I think it's about time you step down from being the host.
What do you think, boys?
Yeah, alright, yeah!
Kill this guy!
There's no danger!
Let's kill him!
His leg, the old dick twist!
Hey, what's up? It's me, the real deal. It's me, Motch, the real Motch. And I'm here to say thank you. Thank you for watching this awesome thing that I did. But I couldn't have done it without my #1 fan, Christian. Christian, yeah, here's a picture of him right here. Thank you, Christian. Let's all give a round of applause to Christian. The Christian, I would applaud, but I can't right now because I'm holding my phone. You know what? Fuck it. Well, congratulations, yeah, Christian. Oh, I flipped the camera. That's cool. That's fine. 2023 Motch Awards 2023 coming soon, coming real soon, but maybe not. It might take me a year again. I hope not. But anyways, yeah, be on the lookout. Motch 2023, Motch 2023, Motch Game Awards 2023. It's coming soon, ish, maybe, and other cool stuff. Like I'm gonna make a tier list out of wacky little dogs. Wacky dog tier list. That'll be funny. I hope. And I'm gonna bathe my friend in milk. That's not a joke. Anyways, yeah, see ya.
So that's pretty good.